Hey everyone, welcome back for another episode of Real Think Vlog. This is Andrew Sparks here. I am recording here in Central Park in Manhattan. The last video came from Queens. That's where I live, that's what I love, but sometimes just hanging out in Manhattan, especially on an awesome autumn day like this, nothing beats it. It's just so great to be outside, get those crunchy leaves on the ground, and just see everyone out and about having fun. So thought I'd record a quick video. Thanks again for joining. And following up on last week, this week I will continue to talk about On the Shortness of Life by Seneca, a collection of his letters. And following up on last week's episode, I know we discussed the importance of leisure time and really taking time for yourself. And today I'm going to talk about something that's a little bit related. So, continuing in the same letter, On the Shortness of Life, to his friend Paulinus, Seneca talks about some of the things that fill up our time, including what he calls vices. So I know that there's a lot of vices out there, some old-fashioned ones like, too much alcohol or tobacco or, all sorts of things like that. So, those might be vices for some people, but also there's a lot of things that kind of fly under the radar, so I'm not going to talk about them specifically, but I think you could probably do some reflection and figure out what they are for you. And I know this is something I've been thinking about recently as well, so there's a few bad habits in there that I kind of want to get rid of a little bit, and I think they'd help focus my life and make me a stronger person, so that way I can draw my goals closer. It's an interesting quote I read somewhere where, discipline isn't pushing stuff away, but rather drawing your goals closer. So I think, interestingly, Seneca talks about this a little bit. So let's get into it. And one thing I was reading in Seneca that I thought was really interesting is he talks about the need to crush vices unreasonably. So as you could probably tell, because I love philosophy so much, I spend a lot of time up here logically trying to think through things, but a lot of times that isn't the best way to go about it. And he talks about the need to destroy vices by kind of brute force instead of thinking through them. And I was thinking about this because I know a lot of times what I do, I haven't really thought about explicitly. So it's not necessarily my conscious mind making a decision to do things, but my subconscious mind making the decision for me, and then my conscious mind kind of brings it to my decision, to my awareness, and says, yeah, let's go ahead and do that. So really, at that point, the decision is already made. And this happens for a lot of our decisions. I think there's a certain percentage, I don't know what exactly, maybe even the majority of the things we do begin subconsciously and then rise to awareness in our conscious mind. So, if the bad habits that pervade our lives are based in the subconscious, we can't dig into them consciously and logically think through them and say, I don't want to do this for X, Y, or Z, because really the decision is already made. So what we need to do is crush them by brute force. It sounds pretty extreme, but I think it rings true, because think about all the things. Maybe it's a diet and you have all your calories for each day counted out, and how long does that last? Maybe a week, if that. I know it's really hard for a lot of people because you're trying to logically think through something that is not based in logic or reason. So Seneca talks about this a little bit, and he says that Fabianus, who is not one of today's academic philosophers, but the true old-fashioned sort, used to say that we must attack the passions by brute force and not logic. That the enemy's line must be turned by a strong attack and not by pinpricks. For vices have to be crushed rather than picked at. So I thought that was a pretty sweet line, and it's great because here's Seneca, someone writing thousands of years ago. His lessons have lasted for thousands of years, and obviously he's a very smart guy, and he's saying, look, it's not all conscious thought that counts. Sometimes we need to really, I don't know, maybe get grossed out by something and say, no, that's nasty. Like, I don't want to be that type of person. I want to change, and get kind of that visceral gut feeling reaction against something. So I'm going to try this for some of the things that I want to kind of eradicate from my life, and maybe it'll work for you too. It's just kind of a matter of giving yourself permission to go with the flow, to go with your gut feeling on some things in good directions, and not necessarily, for some of the things that we kind of go to our gut feeling for, whether we have a gut feeling about something or someone. Now we can have gut feelings about our habits and say, how does this really make me feel? And do I want to get rid of it? And if you want to get rid of it, be unreasonable. Crush them. Again, this is Andrew Sparks. Thanks for joining me for another episode. And take care. This is a Real Think vlog. Later.